Andrew McCART, IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. I'm here with none other than Ben Davison. Ben, let's just get right down to the nitty gritty. Forget about Canelo Saunders. What's with the hair? You've cut it all off, man. You're like Samson. Is it Samson with the hair? You've lost all your power.
No, definitely not lost the power. Just I was sick of. Well, what it was when I grew it long, it was easy just to tie up while working. But then if I had anything to do outside of work, it was an absolute mess. So I come to the conclusion that it was time to cut it off. But the problem was I couldn't just trim it because then it's not long enough to tie up. Floats in the eyes. So I had to get it short enough where it's not going to cause me any ag while working. So that's the story of the haircut.
I must admit, I'm getting used to it by now, but it was a shock to the system. I must admit, you actually hurt my feelings a little bit when you got your hair cut, because I lived through you with hair. Do you know what I mean? So that's just it. I want to talk about Josh Taylor out in Vegas, but the reason why you're here in Dallas right now is a good friend of yours. You've trained him yourself. Billy Joe Saunders is up against pound for pound #1 Canelo Alvarez. We've seen what Canelo's done in the last 5 months with Callum Smith and Yildirim. How big a task is this for Billy Joe Saunders?
Said it yourself, Canelo's pound for pound #1, so the task doesn't get any bigger.
So I've just put that light on. A wee bit of lighting for you there, Ben. Yeah, it's a big task. It's a tough ask. But going off social media from back home and everybody back home, they're giving Billy. There's a lot of people are confident in Billy Joe Saunders pulling this off. How big a chance do you give him?
Yeah, Billy Joe has one of, if not the best skill set that I've worked with, and it's just a case of. I always explain it like this. It's like when you get these top quality fighters, they've got a huge toolbox, and it's just about sharpening those tools and selecting the right tools for the job at hand, and that's what he needs to do. And it's just that he's got a big job in front of him, but 100% I believe that he has the tool set to be able to do what he needs to do on the night to come out victorious.
I know you're not. I think you are in this corner tonight. Maybe I don't know, but you've trained Billy Joe. How would you approach as a coach to beat somebody like Canelo? Do you know what I mean? He seems to be just doing everything right at the moment. Kovalev knocked out, 6'3" Cam Smith, and he's only 5'8". Somebody told me he seems like no matter what kind of skill set you bring to the table, Canelo's got an answer for. So how would you approach this fight?
Varied rhythms, varied distances, varied speed. Anything that's too predictable, anything that you do the same. You can't just come out, jab, pop, pop, pop. He'll counter-punch the shit out of you. You can't afford to. You want to have enough distance where you're not there for him to use his volume and variety, but it can't be enough distance where you're giving up huge areas of the ring and constantly moving, because you'll end up from one rope to the next rope, and you don't want to end up pinned on the ropes against Canelo. So it's just about being efficient, being smart, lots of variety. You have to know what Canelo's looking to do from the tricks that he's got in his game, what he's trying to achieve from certain looks that he gives, and when you know that, you know when not to commit, when to commit, and how to try and draw the lead out of Canelo, and you know what he wants and doesn't want. I don't want to say too much where you're giving anything away, but basically lots of variation, and ring generalship, ring positioning's vital.
With Billy Joe, I've never seen somebody with a fight of this magnitude. I mean, the weigh-in yesterday with the fans, the atmosphere of that weigh-in was unreal. With 70,000 fans with that huge stadium behind you, it doesn't feel like Billy Joe Saunders is overawed by it. He seems more relaxed than I've ever seen him got a big fight. Is he built for this? Is he built for these occasions, Billy Joe?
Yeah, we've always said it, that Billy Joe's always performed better, the higher the challenge that's in front of him. And that's what I believe you'll see tonight, that he doesn't have that motivation, that extra something that you need when he's boxing someone that he's expected to beat. Going into a fight like Canelo, it'll bring the best out in Billy Joe. He's just got to make sure that he selects the right tools for the job, like I say.
Is Canelo, obviously Canelo is the toughest fight of Billy Joe's career, but is Billy Joe the toughest opponent Canelo can face at 168 and below? I know 175 is a tough task, the big boys up there, but around the 168, 160 division, is Billy Joe Saunders the toughest test for Canelo?
Yeah, I certainly believe so, and But again, you know, like when you have two top quality fighters, like they're both like the IQ that'll be in that ring is a joke. But if Canelo comes into here and selects the wrong tools and gets his game plan wrong, he's getting beat. But it's vice versa. And when you get these top quality fights, that's what it's about, you know. That's why there's 70,000 fans in there. The 70,000 fans don't turn up to go, oh, we know who's going to win. 70,000 fans turn up because they go, do you know what? We don't know. And that's when you know it's a top level fight.
You've been in Vegas this time. I'm sure you've seen the videos and stuff like that where Team Saunders riling up Canelo. I mean, I've never heard Canelo ounce the words fucking pussy or stick the middle finger up to Team Saunders and stuff like that. Do you feel he's riled up? Do you feel he's like Team Saunders and Billy Joe has pissed him off with the antics, with the ring size and stuff like that, not showing off to the first face-off? You think he's pissed Canelo off a little bit?
Yeah, I don't think so much the ring size because, like I said, you know, if the bigger the ring, not necessarily an advantage when you're going from a 22 to a 24. Because that extra 2 foot, if you're skirting around the outside, Canelo cuts that ring off well enough to make sure that he keeps you there. He'll make that ring very small. The fight needs to be held in the centre of the ring, tight circles. But I think that there'll be an ego to Canelo. Of course there will be, you know. That's part of what's made him the fighter that he is. And I think the element of not turning up, the element of not being shown the respect that he feels like he should be given, that will probably piss him off. How that shows out on the night, he's probably professional enough to not let it show out on the night. But if it does, it's certainly something that Billy Joe will look to exploit.
There was obviously concern about the judges a few weeks ago and stuff like that. And I've spoke to Carl Froch last night. He says he always worries about judges and stuff like that because it's an opinion. And when you do get that sort of human element to it, and the way certain angles of the ring, you won't see certain punches land. Do you feel like Billy Joe Saunders can't just nick rounds? He needs to go in there and absolutely dominate the rounds to get the decision here in Dallas.
Look, the thing is this year, let's be realistic about the situation. Billy Joe comes out there and has to dominate, goes out there with the mindset of I've got to dominate the rounds, has to work 3 times as hard as what he probably needs to try and get the first 6 rounds in the bag. Probably burns himself out, falls off the cliff. Round 7, 8, 9, 10, slows down, Canelo takes over. Not a good approach to the fight. A fight is a fight. The judges are out of your hands. You just have to do what you need to do. Go about the fight to win the fight. The public will know who won the fight. And at this level, you know, it's not about, of course you want a win, but it's not about I need to do this because everybody thinks this is what I need to do. It's about, do you know what, I went up against pound for pound number 1 and deep in my heart I know I won that fight.
70,000 fans, you mentioned it. I mean, it's good to have boxing back in terms of that size of a crowd. It's been touching a year and a half now since we've seen something of this magnitude. You're here. You're going to be in and around ringside. How excited are you, Ben, to finally get boxing back? Because I know you've done a couple of these behind closed doors shows and stuff like that. How excited are you to finally get that atmosphere and feel it and feel that passion from the fans again? Yeah,
do you know what? Like I'll be in the corner with Billy Joe and you don't really soak up the atmosphere. You're just more so focused on the job that needs doing at hand. Obviously, Mark's in charge in the corner, so I'm there to help him and help Billy Joe and assist. But the full focus is on Billy Joe and on what he needs to do. So, unfortunately, in the exact moment, you don't really get to take in the atmosphere. But afterwards, you know, God willing, Billy Joe comes out victorious. You get to try and soak up as much as you can.
Just going back to the tactical side of things, do you think, on some terms, you need to do what you said there, like stand on the back foot, pop, move distances and angles and stuff like that? But do you think you need to switch it up and maybe meet fire with fire in the middle of the ring sometimes with Canelo to get his respect?
I know what you're saying about fire with fire. You don't really want to be punching with Canelo. There's a few opportunities where Canelo's very wide with his hooks, where there's opportunities to sneak in your own while he's punching or beating to the shot, certainly. And that's the thing when people say, oh, boxing move. What? Being honest, what the fuck is boxing move? What does it mean? Do you know what I mean? Move, jab, run away, jab. You can't do that. Your back won't come off the ropes. It's got to be sensible. It's got to be smart. It's got to be boxed in a tight circle. People think that Mayweather come out and skirted around the outside. He didn't. The first thing he done was met Canelo in the centre of the ring. but he kept it at enough distance where he wasn't stood directly in front of him, where he could use all his volume and variety. So Billy Joe's got to keep it in the centre of the ring, box in a tight circle. But there's certainly times where, there's times where when Canelo's going to let his hands go, Billy Joe's got to step to it, step to him, close the distance, smother the distance. Because if you're constantly taking a step back, your back's going to hit the ropes. That's a place you don't want to be, especially with someone who's got the variety of Canelo. So certainly there's time and place there's certainly small windows for Billy Joe to beat him to the shot. You don't even stand there exchanging. But there's certainly times as well where he needs to step to Canelo, smother the distance and close the gap. There's two ways to not get hit: too far away or too close. So sometimes it's going to have to be too close as well.
When I talked about you were in Vegas, you've been out in Vegas with Josh Taylor when he's going for the Undisputed Championship in Las Vegas. You've been with him a wee while now. How's Josh looking? I think you've been in Vegas 2 weeks now, I believe. How's it going? How's training camp going with Josh?
Yeah, good, obviously. There was a bit of issues about getting over to Vegas, but we managed to get it sorted, got over there. Everything was sort of in place for us to arrive and make sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible, which has been good. Very well conditioned. Plenty of good sparring, fantastic facilities, everything's in place, got everything that he needs, so everything's going very well. It's just exactly the same, this realistically without the IBF, this is an undisputed World Championship fight. I know we're missing the IBF with Caleb Plant, but it's obviously a fight of that level. Josh Taylor, undisputed world title fight. Those type of fights, exactly what I said earlier on in this interview, is, you have to go about the fight the right way.
Undisputed. I mean, last 140-pound division, last person was Terence Crawford to do that, and I can't remember the last British fighter to become undisputed. You probably know because you're a boxing guru, Ben. But what does this mean for you as a coach? What does this rank for a win for Josh? Because I know you've trained guys like Billy Joe Saunders and Tyson Fury and guys in the first Wilder fight and that. What does this rank as in terms of big fights for you?
Yeah, they're all big fights. Like I say, I often get asked which fight means the most, or this, that, and the other. I very much have them. They're very separate. My relationship with Billy Joe is different to my relationship with Tyson. My relationship with Tyson is different to my relationship with Josh, and they're all very separate. It's not really.
They're all madmen.
Yeah, they are certainly all madmen. But it's not so much what it means to me. It's what it means to them, and how I see what it means to them. That's what makes it special for me. So that's why I sort of look at it as different, because it's what it means to Billy Joe, it's what it means to Davison, it's what it means to Josh. It's not. That's what it means to me, Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get it, because you're a very humble guy, and I get that from you and stuff like that. And I think with Lee McGregor, when he won the European title fight, you said to me, it's not about me, it's about Lee's win. So yeah. I know you don't like to take any plaudits, you don't like to take the fame and all that sort of stuff away from the fighter and that, because you say yourself, it's all about the fighter.
100%, and my job as a coach is to help the fighter sharpen the tools and select the right tools, but they're the ones that got to get in and do it, and they're the ones that do get in and do it. So of course, they're the ones that have. Some people, for example, I met Josh when Josh was a world champion. God willing, I helped him achieve undisputed. Before that, he was working with Shane. Before that, he's working with Terry. So there's other people that have helped along the way. But it's Josh that, from a young age, is every single day grafted. Of course, as coaches, we graft and we work hard and we study opponents and study our fighters and work on every single strength, every single weakness, make sure everything's covered. But it's them that's done it their whole life, and it's their story. As coaches, we're just there to help and guide.
Well, I'm going out to Vegas on Monday, and I'm going to spend a couple of weeks out there with yous and stuff like that. So I won't talk too much about Josh, because I'm pretty sure I'll get plenty of intel and stuff like that from you over breakfast and dinner. Back to Billy Joe Saunders. One quick final word on Billy Joe and his chances and the huge event that's going on tonight.
Yeah, look, it's something that I've known Billy Joe for many years now, and this is sort of what it's all been building up to and leading up to, and now that we're here, God willing, he comes out victorious and cements his legacy, and I believe his destiny.
Destiny. There we go. Do you hear about the gypsy magic in there?
That's right.
Ben, as always, thank you so much for doing this for TV, and enjoy what you can of Dallas. I know it's a flying visit, but enjoy what you can, and I'll catch you later on.
Definitely. Thanks, mate.
Thank you, Ben.